Alright, I got a 2025 KX112. I'm going to change the coolant on. I only got 10.2 hours on it. Haven't changed the coolant or messed with the coolant at all on this bike before, but it should be pretty simple. You just got to know where your drain bolts are, your air bleeder. So I got a drain bolt down here on the water pump. There's also another one that I may or may not use on the side of the cylinder. And then you got up here on top of the head, air bleeder bolt. And your cap you'll be taking off. Seems like they're all 10 millimeter on this bike, so it should be pretty easy. The bike is cold. I'm gonna start with taking off drain bolt off the water pump, and then I have a pretty clean bowl that's gonna catch all this, and see nothing's really coming out. So once I open up this radiator cap, hopefully it'll start flowing out. There we go. Now you want a pretty clean bowl or catch pan, so you can tell if there's anything going on in your cooling system. Make sure there's no corroding aluminum or rust in there. Then you'd probably have to flush your system. Now this takes 0.5 liters of coolant. I'm gonna just try to drain it from here first, see how much this is, see if this is 0.5 liters, and I'll just go ahead and fill it back up. But if not, I'm going to take off that drain bolt on the side of the cylinder. Also gonna maybe just tilt it a little bit around, see if we can get some more out. And eventually maybe squeeze on the, we got the hoses here, squeeze on the hoses, see if it helps get anything out. So I really rocked the bike side to side, almost all the way completely on both of its sides, and got out right around 17 to 18 fluid ounces, which is like exactly 0.5 liters. So I'm not gonna mess with the drain bolt on the side of the cylinder. Now, anytime you remove drain bolts, they usually have some kind of washer. This is a washer. They always say to replace it with a new one after each time. I honestly have never really done that. I'll do it maybe if I've dug into it quite a few times, or if something looks wrong with the washer, but I just inspect it. I know they were torqued down to a certain amount, and then you know, it crushes that washer and creates a really good seal, and that's why they want, you know, a new washer each time. But I just inspect it, put it on, and I'm just aware that I didn't replace that new, and that I recently changed, you know, the coolant oil, whatever you're changing, and I just keep an eye on it for the next few rides at least, and make sure that, you know, it's not leaking, and then I would replace the washer, you know, if I had any issues. And I'm sure you can just tighten this down snug, but I always go with the torque specs. The torque specs for this KX112 is 5.2 Newton meters or 46 inch-pounds. My coolant looked clean, so I'm going to go ahead and crack this bleeder bolt. Air bleeder bolt, whatever the heck you want to call it. Crack that open. I'm going to slowly start pouring in the coolant and putting engine ice in. Takes 0.5 liters. My measuring thing does not have liters, so I am going to go by fluid ounces, which is right around 17 fluid ounces. You want to slowly pour in so air can kind of escape too. You want to make sure you don't really have much air in the system, or you don't want any air in the system. Kind of keep an eye on your bleeder, and if whenever coolant starts coming out, then you'll close it off, tighten it back up. And if you're interested, once I do tighten that back down, it'll be 10 Newton meters, which is 89 inch-pounds. Alright, I see some air bubbles starting to come from that bleeder. But you want to make sure you don't close it up until all the air bubbles are out and it's just coolant flowing out of that. I'm gonna squeeze the radiator hoses a couple times. There we go. It's not on the side of the camera, but there's a coolant starting to drip out of the back side. Still a combination of air bubbles though. So I pumped on those hoses quite a bit, loosened this up a little bit more, and let's see here. You can see the coolant starting to come out there. I let the coolant flow out a little bit and then wiped off the cylinder and head just to make sure there was no more air that was going to come out of there. And now this says to torque it down to 10 Newton meters. Now I'm just checking up top. So you got this outer rim diameter, then this inner diameter. That's your filler neck. You want it to be all the way up to that inner diameter there with your bike straight up. So when I put the bike straight up, it's like right at the filler neck. So that's good. Also, it's good to check while you're up here. You can go back down and squeeze on these even more and see if any more bubbles or anything comes out of the system. And you know, I already kind of moved it straight up and down and stuff. You kind of rock it a little bit. And there's also a hose right going up to it here that you can kind of squeeze along a little bit. But anyway, other than that, I'll put the cap back on, start it up, get it to operating temperature, ride it around my yard just a little bit, and then let it cool all the way back down. Come take this cap back off and check if it went down at all. If it went down a little bit, then I would, you know, fill it back up to the neck there, and then call it good. But I mean, if it went down, go ride it again, check, make sure it doesn't go down a second time. And I would say if it went down a second time, that might be a little excessive, and you might want to check your hoses and lines to your cooling system. Make sure you're not losing any coolant anywhere. Make sure your drain bolt's tight. Make sure your bleeder is tight and not leaking. Rode it around, let it get all the way heated up. Now it's all the way cooled down before I took this cap back off, and it's still about the same exact level, so should be all good to go. Thanks for watching.